In the quiet moments at the end of the day, when the world begins to soften and slow, there's a gentle kind of comfort found in the simplest of foods. Tonight, we begin with something unassuming, something quietly nourishing, something that asks very little of you except to notice it. Welcome to Sleepy Food Lore. This evening, we are drifting into the story of the avocado, a fruit that feels almost designed for calm. It does not arrive with sharpness or urgency. It does not demand attention with bright sweetness or bold spice. Instead, the avocado offers something softer, something smoother, a kind of quiet satisfaction that unfolds slowly. If you imagine holding one in your hand, you can feel its gentle weight, the slightly pebbled skin, firm but giving just enough under your fingers. There is a sense of patience in it, as though it has taken its time to become exactly what it is meant to be. And inside, beneath that dark outer layer, there is a different world entirely. The flesh is pale green, almost luminous in its softness, smooth in a way that feels more like butter than fruit. When you slice into it, there is no resistance, only a clean, easy glide. The knife passes through as though it belongs there, revealing a surface so even and creamy it almost seems untouched by effort. The taste is just as gentle, mild, buttery, quietly rich without ever becoming overwhelming. It rests lightly on the tongue, offering nourishment without intensity. There is no rush to understand it, no sharp edges to define it. It simply exists, and in doing so, it invites you to slow down alongside it. Across time and cultures, the avocado has been appreciated not for spectacle, but for steadiness. It has been a source of sustenance, of calm energy, of quiet indulgence that feels both simple and complete. There is something deeply reassuring about a food that does not try to be more than it is. The avocado does not change its nature depending on where it travels. Whether it is mashed, sliced, or left just as it is, it carries the same gentle essence, soft, nourishing, and quietly satisfying. And perhaps that is where its story truly begins. Not as a trend or a modern staple, but as something ancient, something that has grown slowly under warm skies, rooted in rich soil, shaped by time and patience. As we move through its history, its journeys, and the many ways it has been welcomed into kitchens around the world, you may begin to notice how naturally it fits into a slower rhythm, one that asks nothing more than your presence. So for now, just settle into the softness of it, the texture, the taste, the quiet simplicity, and let the story of the avocado unfold at its own unhurried pace. The avocado tree does not hurry. It is an evergreen, which means that it does not follow the dramatic cycles of shedding and renewal that many other trees display. Instead, it keeps its leaves throughout the year, holding a steady, consistent presence in the landscape. Where other trees may appear bare and waiting through colder seasons, the avocado tree remains full, its canopy quietly intact, offering a sense of continuity that feels almost reassuring. The leaves themselves are broad and deep green, with a slightly leathery texture that allows them to endure both sun and time. When the light moves across them, they do not shimmer sharply, but instead absorb and soften it, creating a kind of muted glow. In a grove of avocado trees, the light filters gently through the canopy, breaking into soft patterns on the ground below. There is no urgency in the way these trees grow. Each branch extends slowly, almost imperceptibly, guided by conditions rather than force. The tree responds to warmth, to water, to the quiet stability of the soil. Growth happens, but it is not something that can be rushed or dramatically altered. It follows a rhythm that has been shaped over thousands of years. In regions where avocados are cultivated, the orchards often feel calm in a way that is difficult to define at first. The trees are usually spaced with care, allowing each one enough room to spread its branches without competition. The air moves easily between them, carrying the faint scent of leaves and earth. There's often very little sound beyond the occasional movement of wind or the distant activity of birds. If you were to walk through such an orchard, you might notice how consistent everything feels. The trees are not identical, but they share a quiet uniformity. Their trunks are sturdy without being imposing, and their branches reach outward rather than sharply upward. It creates an environment that feels grounded, balanced, and unhurried. The life cycle of the avocado fruit reflects this same patience. It begins with small, almost unnoticeable flowers. These blossoms are not large or showy, and they do not call attention to themselves. In fact, they're easy to overlook entirely. Yet each one carries the potential to become a fruit, given the right conditions and enough time. Pollination occurs in a way that is both intricate and subtle. Avocado trees have a unique flowering pattern in which each flower opens twice, once as female and once as male, at different times of the day. This timing encourages cross-pollination between trees, a process that depends on the presence of insects, gentle air movement, and the alignment of natural cycles. Nothing about this process is immediate. Once pollination has taken place, the fruit begins to form, but even then, it does so slowly. The avocado does not ripen quickly on the branch. Instead, it develops over many months, gradually increasing in size while remaining firm. It holds its place on the tree with a quiet persistence, drawing nutrients steadily, never rushing toward completion. It is not unusual for an avocado to take many months, sometimes close to a year, to fully mature while still attached to the tree. During this time, it changes very little in outward appearance. It does not soften, and it does not signal readiness in obvious ways. It simply continues, day after day, absorbing what it needs. This slow development is part of what makes the avocado so distinctive. Unlike many fruits that ripen on the tree and must be picked at just the right moment, the avocado remains in a kind of suspended state. It reaches maturity, but it does not fully ripen until it is harvested. There is something particularly quiet about that detail. The fruit waits. It remains firm, almost unchanged, until it is gently removed from the branch. Only then does the softening begin, as if the act of letting go allows the final transformation to take place. Over the course of several days, the dense flesh becomes tender, yielding to pressure, shifting into the familiar texture that is so closely associated with comfort and nourishment. In this way, the avocado carries two rhythms at once. There is the long, patient growth on the tree, shaped by seasons and steady conditions. And then there is the final, more intimate stage of ripening, which which happens off the branch, often in kitchens, on countertops, or in quiet corners of the home. Returning to the orchard, the presence of fruit on the trees is subtle rather than dramatic. The avocados hang among the leaves, sometimes partially hidden, their shapes blending into the overall structure of the branches. They do not weigh the tree down in a visible way, nor do they create a sense of abundance that feels overwhelming. Instead, they exist as part of the whole. A tree may carry many fruits at once, each at a slightly different stage of development, yet the overall impression remains one of balance. Nothing appears strained or excessive. The branches hold what they can, supported by the steady strength of the trunk and the root system below. Beneath the surface, those roots extend outward, anchoring the tree while drawing in water and nutrients from the soil. Avocado trees prefer well-drained earth, where moisture is present but never stagnant. Too much water can disturb their balance, while too little can slow their growth. Like many things in nature, they thrive within a narrow range of conditions that must be maintained with care. This relationship with the environment reinforces the sense that the avocado tree is not adaptable in a hurried or forceful way. It does not push beyond its limits. Instead, it responds best when its surroundings are stable and supportive. Farmers and growers who tend to avocado orchards often learn to work with this rhythm rather than against it. Pruning is done with intention, allowing light and air to move through the branches without overwhelming the tree. Harvesting is staggered, guided by maturity rather than strict timing. There's an understanding that each tree, and even each fruit, follows its own pace within a broader cycle. Over time, this creates an environment where the orchard itself feels less like a system to be controlled and more like a space to be maintained. The seasons pass, but not in a way that dramatically reshapes the trees. There are subtle shifts in growth, in flowering, in fruiting, but the overall presence remains steady. This constancy can make it easy to lose track of time when standing among them. Without the clear markers of change that other trees provide, the experience becomes more continuous, less defined by beginnings and endings. In many parts of the world, avocado trees grow in climates that are warm and mild, where extremes are rare. The air tends to be gentle, the soil consistent, the light reliable. These conditions support the slow, even development that the trees require, reinforcing the sense that everything is unfolding as it should, without interruption. There's a kind of quiet agreement between the tree and its environment. Nothing is forced, nothing is rushed, and yet, over time, the results are unmistakable. A mature avocado tree can produce a significant amount of fruit year after year, not through sudden bursts of activity, but through steady, reliable cycles. The yield is built gradually, supported by the same patient processes that guide every stage of its growth. When viewed in this way, the avocado tree becomes more than just a source of food. It becomes an example of a slower kind of productivity, one that does not rely on urgency or intensity, but on consistency and balance. Its branches continue to extend, its leaves continue to gather light, and its fruit continues to develop in its own time. And in the quiet of an orchard, where rows of these trees stand together, there's a sense that this rhythm has always existed and will continue, largely unchanged, long into the future. The avocado, in all its softness and nourishment, begins here. Not as something immediate or fleeting, but as the result of long, steady growth held gently on the branches of a tree that understands the value of time. Long before the avocado became a familiar presence in modern kitchens, it existed quietly within the landscapes of Central and South America, where it had already been growing for thousands of years. The tree was native to this region, thriving in climates that offered warmth, seasonal rain, and well-drained soil. In these environments, the avocado developed not as a cultivated novelty, but as a natural part of the ecosystem, gradually becoming known to the people who lived alongside it. Archaeological evidence suggests that avocados were being used by humans as early as 7,000 to 5,000 BCE. Remains of avocado seeds have been discovered in caves in what is now Mexico, indicating that early communities gathered and consumed the fruit long before formal agriculture had fully developed. At this stage, the avocado was likely smaller and less consistent than the varieties known today, but even then, it offered a valuable source of nourishment. Over time, as early societies began to settle and cultivate the land more intentionally, the avocado became one of many plants that were gradually brought under human care. This process was not immediate or uniform. It unfolded slowly across generations as people observed which trees produced better fruit, which grew more reliably, and which adapted well to different local conditions. In Mesoamerica, the avocado became closely associated with daily life. Civilizations such as the Olmec, and later the Maya and the Aztec, recognized the fruit not only for its nutritional value, but also for its place within a broader system of agriculture that included maize, beans, squash, and other essential crops. These foods were often grown together in ways that supported the health of the soil and the stability of the harvest. The avocado tree fit naturally into this system. It did not require constant intervention, but it benefited from attention and understanding. Farmers learned how to manage the surrounding land, how to allow enough space for the trees to grow, and how to work with the rhythms of the seasons rather than against them. Among the Maya, the avocado was known and depicted in ways that suggest both familiarity and quiet importance. It appeared in their calendars and iconography, integrated into a worldview that connected food, time, and the natural cycles of the earth. The fruit was not treated as something rare or exotic, but as something steady and reliable, part of the fabric of everyday life. The Aztecs, who came later, referred to the avocado using the word huacatl. This term has often been noted for its linguistic connections, but within the culture itself, the fruit was valued primarily as a source of sustenance. It was eaten in simple forms, often mashed or combined with other ingredients, creating early versions of dishes that would continue to evolve over time. What is notable is not the complexity of these preparations, but their simplicity. The avocado did not require elaborate transformation to be appreciated. Its natural texture and flavor made it easy to incorporate into meals without extensive processing. As trade networks developed across Mesoamerica, the avocado began to move beyond the regions where it originally grew. This movement was gradual, carried out through exchanges between communities rather than large-scale distribution. Seeds were transported, planted, and adapted to new environments where possible. The spread of the avocado was shaped by geography as much as by human intention. The tree thrived best in certain conditions, which meant that its expansion followed pathways where the climate remained favorable. In this way, its growth outward was steady but limited, extending through parts of Central America and into northern areas of South America. Different regions began to develop their own varieties of avocado, each with subtle differences in size, texture, and flavor. These variations emerged over long periods, influenced by local growing conditions and the quiet process of selection by those who cultivated them. In the Andean regions of South America, avocados were also known and used, though often in ways that reflected the distinct agricultural systems of the area. The terrain, the altitude, and the climate all played a role in shaping how the fruit was grown and integrated into daily life. Despite these regional differences, the overall role of the avocado remained consistent. It was a dependable food, one that provided richness and nourishment without requiring complexity. It could be eaten on its own or combined with other staple ingredients, fitting easily into a wide range of meals. When European explorers arrived in the Americas in the late 15th and early 16th centuries, they encountered the avocado as part of this established agricultural landscape. To them, it was unfamiliar, both in appearance and in taste. Early written accounts described the fruit with a sense of curiosity, noting its soft texture and its unusual, savory quality compared to the sweeter fruits more common in Europe. The Spanish, in particular, began to document and eventually transport avocados beyond the Americas. However, this process did not lead to immediate global adoption. The avocado tree, with its specific growing requirements and slow maturation, did not lend itself to rapid expansion. Instead, its journey outward remained gradual. Avocados were introduced to parts of the Caribbean and later to regions such as Spain and other areas with suitable climates. Even then, cultivation required time, experimentation, and patience. Not every environment could support the tree, and not every attempt to grow it was successful. For several centuries, the avocado remained relatively localized compared to other crops that spread more quickly through colonial trade networks. It did not become a dominant export, nor did it transform global diets overnight. Its presence expanded quietly, carried by those who recognized its value and were willing to work within its limitations. This slower spread meant that, for much of its history, the avocado retained a close connection to the regions where it had first been cultivated. It remained part of traditional diets, continuing to be used in ways that emphasized its natural qualities rather than altering them significantly. Over time, as agricultural knowledge deepened and transportation improved, the avocado began to reach new parts of the world more reliably. Varieties were selected and refined, leading to more consistent fruit that could be grown and harvested with greater predictability. Even so, the essence of the avocado did not change. It remained a fruit shaped by patience, both in how it grows and in how it has moved through history. Its origins in Central and South America are not simply a point of beginning, but a foundation that continues to influence how it is cultivated and understood today. The long relationship between the avocado and the people who first cultivated it reflects a kind of steady partnership. It is not marked by sudden shifts or dramatic transformations, but by gradual adaptation and quiet continuity. From the early gathering of wild fruit to the careful cultivation by ancient civilizations, and then to its slow spread across regions and cultures, the story of the avocado unfolds in a way that mirrors its own growth. It does not rush forward. It moves step by step, shaped by time, environment, and the steady attention of those who have worked with it. And through all of this, the avocado remains what it has always been: a simple, nourishing fruit rooted in a long and patient history that continues to extend quietly into the present. As the avocado became more familiar within the daily lives of the people who cultivated it, it also began to take on a quieter presence within their cultural understanding of food, nourishment, and the natural world. It was not a fruit surrounded by spectacle or ceremony, but it carried a steady significance that was felt over time rather than announced. In many early communities of Central and South America, food was not viewed only as sustenance. It was part of a broader relationship with the land, the seasons, and the cycles that shaped everyday life. Within this context, the avocado came to be appreciated not only for its taste and texture, but for the kind of nourishment it provided. It was a food that felt sustaining in a lasting way. The richness of the avocado, with its natural oils and soft flesh, made it a valuable addition to meals that were otherwise built from grains, legumes, and vegetables. It added a sense of completeness, a quiet fullness that lingered. This quality did not go unnoticed. Over time, it contributed to the way the fruit was understood, not just physically, but symbolically. The avocado became associated with vitality, though not in an energetic or overwhelming sense. It represented a steady form of strength, the kind that supports daily life without drawing attention to itself. It was the type of nourishment that allowed people to continue their work, to move through their routines, and to remain connected to the rhythms around them. There is also a sense of abundance connected to the avocado, though this idea was shaped differently from more obvious displays of plenty. The fruit did not grow in clusters that filled the landscape with color, nor did it create sudden harvests that transformed the environment. Instead, its abundance was quieter. A single tree could produce many fruits over time, and those fruits could be harvested gradually as they were needed. This created a feeling of ongoing provision rather than a single moment of plenty. The tree offered its fruit in a way that aligned with patience, allowing people to return again and again rather than gathering everything at once. In this way, the avocado fit easily into a worldview that valued balance and continuity. Some early beliefs and stories reflected this connection, though they were often simple and woven gently into daily life rather than preserved as formal myths. The avocado appeared in references to fertility and growth, likely influenced by both its nourishing qualities and its physical form. These associations were not always spoken directly, but they existed in the background of cultural understanding. Rather than being the focus of elaborate storytelling, the avocado often appeared as part of a larger picture, included among other foods and plants that together represented the generosity of the earth. It was one element within a system that provided what was needed season after season. There are also indications that the avocado held a place in social and domestic settings that went beyond basic sustenance. It could be shared, prepared, and eaten in ways that brought people together, even in small and ordinary ordinary moments. Its soft texture made it easy to divide and serve, and its mild flavor allowed it to accompany a wide range of other foods. This adaptability contributed to its quiet presence in communal life. It did not dominate a meal, but supported it. It did not require attention, but it enhanced what was already there. In this sense, it became part of the background of daily living, woven into routines that repeated over time. In some traditions, foods that provided lasting nourishment were regarded with a kind of understated respect. They were not always celebrated openly, but they were relied upon. The avocado seems to have occupied this kind of space, valued not for rarity or intensity, but for its consistency. This consistency extended to the way the fruit was understood across generations. Knowledge about the avocado tree, its growth, and its uses was passed down gradually, often through observation and practice rather than formal instruction. People learned when to harvest, how to prepare the fruit, and how to incorporate it into meals in ways that suited their environment and their needs. As this knowledge moved from one generation to the next, the cultural presence of the avocado remained steady. It did not undergo dramatic reinterpretation or reinvention. Instead, it continued to be what it had always been, a reliable source of nourishment that fit naturally into the patterns of life. Even as societies changed and developed, the role of the avocado remained grounded. It did not become a symbol of status or excess. It was not reserved only for special occasions or particular groups. Its availability and ease of use allowed it to remain accessible, reinforcing its association with everyday abundance rather than exclusivity. There is something notable in the way certain foods become deeply embedded in culture without drawing attention to themselves. The avocado is one of these foods. Its presence is felt more through continuity than through prominence. The gentle associations with vitality and abundance are not separate from its physical qualities. They emerge directly from the experience of eating it, from the way it satisfies hunger, from the way it complements other foods, and from the way it is grown and harvested. Over time, these qualities become part of shared understanding, shaping how the fruit is perceived even when it is not being actively discussed. In quieter moments, the avocado might have been part of simple meals eaten at the beginning or end of the day, or shared among family members without ceremony. In these settings, its role would have been subtle but consistent, contributing to a sense of stability and continuity. This kind of presence does not leave behind dramatic records or detailed accounts, but it leaves an impression that can still be traced through the patterns of use and the continuity of cultivation. As the avocado continued to spread gradually into new regions, these cultural associations traveled with it in quiet ways. They adapted to new environments and new traditions, but the core qualities remained recognizable. It was still a food that offered steady nourishment. It was still a fruit that suggested a kind of ongoing abundance rather than sudden excess. And it was still something that fit easily into daily life, without requiring explanation or emphasis. In reflecting on the early cultural role of the avocado, it becomes clear that its significance was never about prominence or display. Instead, it was about presence. It was about being there consistently as part of the landscape, part of the meal, and part of the rhythm of life. This kind of significance does not demand attention, but it endures. And in that endurance, the avocado carries forward the same quiet qualities that have defined it from the beginning. Nourishment that is steady, abundance that unfolds over time, and a connection to the natural world that remains calm, balanced, and continuous. The name avocado carries a quiet history, shaped gradually as it moved between people, places, and languages over time. The earliest form of the word comes from the Nahuatl language, spoken by the Aztecs and other communities in central Mexico. In this language, the fruit was known as avocado. It was a familiar word, used in everyday life to describe a fruit that was already well understood and widely used. When Spanish explorers arrived in the region, they encountered both the fruit and its name. As often happens when languages meet, the original word began to shift. The sounds of avocado were gently adapted to fit Spanish pronunciation, becoming aguacate. This was not a sudden change, but a gradual adjustment, shaped by repeated use and the natural flow of speech. From there, the word continued its journey. As the fruit moved beyond its place of origin, the name traveled with it, changing again as it entered English. Early versions varied, reflecting uncertainty in how to capture the unfamiliar sound. Over time, these variations settled into the form that is now widely used, avocado. This process was slow and unforced. There was no single moment when the name was decided. Instead, it evolved through small, steady changes, each one bringing it closer to something that felt natural in a new language. The original meaning was carried forward, even as the sound and structure shifted. Today, traces of this history remain. In Spanish, aguacate is still used, closely echoing the earlier form. In English, avocado has become familiar and easy to say, though its origins are not always immediately visible. The word feels settled now, as though it has found its place. This gentle evolution reflects the way language often moves. Words are not fixed. They travel, adapt, and soften over time, shaped by the people who use them. Each version becomes part of the next, creating a quiet continuity that links the present to the past. The name avocado is one example of this process. It began as a simple word within an indigenous language, passed through another, and eventually arrived in its current form. Nothing about this journey was rushed. It unfolded gradually, following the same kind of steady path that can be seen in the growth and spread of the fruit itself. In the end, the word remains simple. It is spoken easily, understood without effort, and used without needing to consider where it came from. Yet within it, there is a long and quiet history, shaped by time, movement, and the natural rhythm of language as it changes. And like the fruit it names, it has arrived not through sudden transformation, but through a slow and patient unfolding. The growing of avocados begins in places where the climate remains steady and warm, without sharp extremes. These are regions where the air does not turn too cold, where frost is rare, and where the balance between sunlight and moisture can be maintained over time. The avocado tree depends on this stability, and it responds best when its environment remains consistent. In these conditions, the tree is planted and then given time. Unlike many crops that produce quickly, the avocado tree develops slowly in its early years. After planting, It may take several years before it produces its first meaningful fruit. During this period, the growth is focused on what cannot always be seen. The roots extend into the soil, the trunk strengthens, and the branches begin to form a structure that will support future harvests. This stage requires patience. There is little visible reward at first, but the work is still taking place. The tree is preparing itself, building the foundation it will rely on for many years. Growers understand that this early investment of time cannot be rushed. The pace is set by the tree itself, and it must be allowed to unfold naturally. As the tree matures, it begins to produce flowers, small and often unnoticed at a distance. These flowers mark the beginning of the fruiting cycle, though not every flower will become an avocado. The process depends on a range of conditions, including temperature, pollination, and the overall health of the tree. Once the fruit begins to form, it develops gradually. The avocado grows on the branch over many months, remaining firm as it increases in size. During this time, it draws nutrients steadily from the tree, supported by the leaves above and the roots below. There is no sudden change, no rapid transformation. The fruit simply continues, day after day, following its own quiet timeline. The orchard reflects this steady rhythm. Trees are spaced carefully, allowing light to reach the leaves and air to move between branches. The ground is maintained so that water can drain properly, as the roots do not respond well to being oversaturated. Each element of the environment is considered not to force growth, but to support it. Water is provided in a measured way. In some regions, rainfall is enough to sustain the trees, while in others, irrigation is used to maintain consistency. Too little water can slow development, while too much can disrupt the balance of the soil. The goal is not abundance, but steadiness, allowing the tree to receive what it needs without excess. As the months pass, the fruit reaches maturity while still attached to the branch. This is where the avocado differs from many other fruits. It does not ripen fully on the tree. It remains firm, even when it is ready to be harvested. There are no strong visual signals, no clear shift in softness or color that marks the exact moment. Instead, the decision to harvest is guided by experience. Growers observe the size of the fruit, the time that has passed, and the overall condition of the tree. Sometimes a small sample is taken and allowed to ripen off the tree to confirm that it has reached the right stage. These methods are quiet and practical, shaped by familiarity rather than urgency. The harvesting itself is done by hand. Workers move through the orchard at a steady pace, selecting each avocado individually. The fruit is cut from the branch using simple tools, often clippers or handheld cutters, ensuring that it is removed cleanly. Care is taken to avoid damage, as the condition of the fruit at this stage affects everything that follows. There is a calm rhythm to this work. It is not hurried, and it does not need to be. The avocados can remain on the tree until they are picked, allowing the harvest to take place over time rather than all at once. This creates a flow within the orchard, where different areas are visited as the fruit becomes ready. Once the avocado is removed from the tree, a quiet change begins. The ripening process, which has been held in pause, starts to unfold. The fruit begins to soften over several days, responding to natural signals within its structure. The flesh, once firm, gradually becomes smooth and yielding. This is one of the most distinctive qualities of the avocado. It ripens after it has been picked, not before. This allows it to be transported while still firm, reducing the risk of damage. It also means that the final stage of its development often takes place closer to where it will be used, whether in a home kitchen or a local market. The timing of this stage can be influenced by temperature. Warmer conditions tend to speed up the softening, while cooler conditions slow it down. This gives a degree of control, allowing the fruit to be held or prepared according to need. Even so, the process remains gradual, unfolding over time rather than in a single moment. Back in the orchard, the cycle continues. Not all fruit matures at once, and not all trees produce at the same pace. This leads to multiple harvests within a season, with workers returning to the same trees as new fruit becomes ready. The activity is ongoing, but never rushed. The trees themselves remain steady throughout. They continue to grow, to produce leaves, and to support the next cycle of flowering and fruiting. With proper care, a single tree can produce avocados for many years, offering a consistent yield that reflects the conditions around it. For those who grow avocados, there is an understanding that the process is built on time. Each stage, from planting to harvest, requires attention, but also patience. The role of the grower is not to accelerate the process, but to maintain the conditions that allow it to continue. This creates a relationship between the tree and those who care for it. It is not based on control, but on observation and response. The tree grows according to its nature, and the grower works alongside it, supporting rather than directing. By the time the avocado reaches the point where it is ready to be eaten, it has already passed through this long sequence. From the warm climate where the tree took root, through the years of early growth, to the careful harvesting by hand, and finally to the quiet ripening after picking. Each step has followed the same steady pattern. The fruit arrives as the result of time, care, and a natural rhythm that continues season after season without interruption. Although the avocado is often thought of as a single, familiar fruit, it exists in many different varieties, each shaped by its environment and its history of cultivation. These variations are not always immediately obvious, but they can be noticed over time through small differences in texture, appearance, and overall feel. One of the most noticeable distinctions between avocado varieties is the texture of the flesh. Some avocados become very creamy as they ripen, softening into a smooth consistency that spreads easily. These types feel rich and cohesive, with a texture that seems to settle gently as it is eaten. They are often preferred for uses where the avocado is mashed or blended, as they require very little effort to transform. Other varieties remain slightly firmer, even at full ripeness. Their flesh still softens, but it holds its shape a little more. When sliced, these avocados form clean, defined pieces that do not collapse as easily. This creates a different experience, where the texture is still soft, but with a gentle structure that can be felt with each bite. These differences in texture are subtle rather than dramatic. They do not change the essential nature of the fruit, but they offer small variations that can be noticed in different settings. Some may feel more suited to spreading, while others lend themselves to slicing, yet both remain recognizably avocado. The outer skin also varies between types. Some avocados develop darker skin as they mature, deepening into a rich green or near black tone. This skin is often slightly textured, with a surface that feels uneven to the touch. It can provide a quiet visual cue, as the color change may suggest when the fruit is nearing readiness. Other varieties have smoother skin that remains green even when ripe. These avocados do not rely on color to indicate their stage of ripeness, and instead are judged more by feel. The surface is more even, with a thinner skin that separates cleanly from the flesh when opened. The difference between darker, textured skin and smoother, green skin is noticeable, but it does not define the experience entirely. Once the fruit is cut, the interior returns to the same soft, green flesh that is familiar across all varieties. The outer layer may vary, but the inner qualities remain consistent. Size and shape can also differ. Some avocados are smaller and more rounded, while others are larger or slightly elongated. These variations reflect both the genetics of the tree and the conditions in which it has grown. Soil, climate, and care all influence how the fruit develops, creating small distinctions that are visible but not overwhelming. Even the flavor can shift slightly between varieties. Some avocados have a deeper, more pronounced richness, while others are lighter and more delicate. These differences are gentle and often noticed only through comparison. On their own, each variety feels complete, without the need to be measured against another. In many places, a single variety becomes the most commonly available, shaping what people come to expect from the fruit. This familiarity can make the avocado feel uniform, even though other types exist. When different varieties are encountered, the experience is often one of quiet recognition rather than surprise. The fruit is the same, but with a slightly different expression. In orchards where multiple varieties are grown, the distinctions may be more apparent. Trees may produce fruit that differs in appearance or texture, even when they are planted side by side. This reflects the long process of cultivation, where different types have been selected over time for their particular qualities. The timing of ripening can also vary slightly. Some avocados soften more quickly after picking, while others take a little longer to reach the same stage. These differences are subtle, but they influence how the fruit is handled and used, adding another layer to its quiet variation. Despite all of these distinctions, there is a strong sense of continuity across all avocado varieties. Each one carries the same essential qualities, defined by softness, balance, and a mild, steady flavor. The differences do not separate them into entirely different foods, but instead create a range within a single, familiar experience. This gentle diversity is part of what allows the avocado to remain both consistent and adaptable. It can be recognized easily, yet still offer small variations that reflect where and how it has grown. These variations do not demand attention, but they are there to be noticed over time. In everyday use, these distinctions often remain in the background. The avocado is selected, prepared, and eaten without needing to identify its specific type. The experience remains steady, shaped more by the act of eating than by the details of classification. And yet, those details exist quietly within each fruit. They reflect the path it has taken, the conditions that have shaped it, and the gradual process of cultivation that has allowed different varieties to emerge. In this way, the avocado is not a single fixed form, but a collection of closely related types, each offering a slightly different balance of texture and appearance. Together, they create a broader picture of the fruit, one that remains simple on the surface, while holding a quiet range of variation beneath. In the kitchen, the avocado becomes part of a quiet and familiar routine, moving easily from the counter to the plate without requiring much effort or attention. It is a food that fits naturally into simple preparation, where each step follows the next without complication. The process often begins with a single cut. The knife moves smoothly through the skin, guided around the center where the seed rests. There's very little resistance, and the fruit opens cleanly into two halves. Inside, the flesh appears soft and even, with a gentle green color that deepens slightly near the outer edge. The seed can be removed with a small, careful motion, leaving a clear space at the center. From here, the avocado can be prepared in a few simple ways, depending on what is needed. Slicing is one of the most common approaches. The flesh can be cut into even segments while still in the skin, then lifted out with a spoon or gently peeled away. Each slice holds together, soft but defined, ready to be placed onto a plate or added to a dish. The movement is steady and unhurried. The knife passes through the flesh without effort, and the pieces separate cleanly. There is no need for precision beyond what feels natural. The avocado responds easily, shaping itself to the motion of the hand. Another approach is to scoop the flesh out in one piece. A spoon follows the curve of the skin, lifting the avocado away in a single, smooth motion. The result is a soft, whole portion that can be placed into a bowl or onto a surface, ready to be used as it is or gently broken apart. When the avocado is mashed, the process remains just as simple. A fork presses into the flesh, which yields immediately. There is no resistance, only a gradual softening as the pieces come together. The texture can be adjusted without effort, left slightly uneven or smoothed further with a few additional movements. This kind of preparation does not require strict attention. It allows for variation, for small differences in texture and form, depending on how the avocado feels at that moment. The result is shaped by the fruit itself as much as by the person preparing it. The sounds in the kitchen remain soft. The light contact of the knife against the cutting board, the quiet scrape of the spoon, and the gentle pressure of the fork all blend into a calm and steady rhythm. These are small, contained actions that do not interrupt the stillness of the space. The avocado fits easily into everyday meals. It may be placed onto a slice of bread, added to a bowl, or arranged alongside other ingredients. It does not need to be transformed or combined in complex ways to feel complete. Its texture and mild flavor allow it to settle into a meal without effort. In many cases, the preparation becomes part of a routine. The same steps are repeated over time, familiar and consistent. The avocado is cut, the seed is removed, the flesh is sliced or mashed. Each action follows naturally, without the need for instruction. This repetition creates a sense of ease. The process does not need to be reconsidered each time. It becomes part of the background of the kitchen, something that happens without drawing attention to itself. There is also a sense of quiet timing involved. The avocado is used when it has reached the right softness, when it responds gently to pressure. This moment is not exact, but it is recognizable. The fruit offers a subtle signal, and the preparation follows. Once it is ready, there is no delay. The avocado is opened, prepared, and used in a short sequence that feels complete. There are no extended steps, no waiting between stages. Everything happens within a small, contained window of time. Afterward, very little remains. The skin and the seed are set aside, and the rest has been used. The space returns to its earlier stillness, with no lasting disruption. The process begins and ends quietly, leaving only the result behind. In this way, the avocado moves through the kitchen without effort. It does not require planning or adjustment. It fits into the flow of the day, offering something that is both simple and steady. The actions surrounding it remain calm. The cutting, the scooping, the slicing, and the mashing all take place at natural pace, guided more by feel than by instruction. There is no urgency in these movements, only a sequence that unfolds as it needs to. And within that sequence, the avocado becomes part of something familiar. Not a focal point, but a quiet presence, moving from the hand to the plate in a way that feels easy, consistent, and complete. As the avocado has found its place in different kitchens, it has become part of a small number of familiar dishes that rely on simplicity rather than complexity. These uses do not transform the fruit into something unrecognizable. Instead, they allow its natural qualities to remain present, supported by a few carefully chosen elements. One of the most widely known preparations is guacamole. At its core, guacamole is built from mashed avocado, prepared in a way that keeps the process gentle and direct. The fruit is softened with a fork, its texture shaped into something smooth or slightly textured, depending on preference. The movement is light, just enough to bring the flesh together without overworking it. To this base, a few fresh ingredients are added. These may include small amounts of herbs, citrus, or seasoning, each contributing a subtle contrast. The additions are used with care, allowing the avocado to remain central. The mixture is stirred slowly, and the result is a dish that feels balanced and complete without becoming complicated. Guacamole is often shared. It may be placed in a bowl at the center of a table or served alongside other foods, or it can be taken in small portions. Its softness makes it easy to serve, and its mild richness allows it to sit comfortably beside a variety of flavors. In a different setting, the avocado appears in a more contemporary form, often associated with quiet morning or midday meals. Avocado on toast has become a familiar presence in modern brunches, where the atmosphere is unhurried and the food is simple. The preparation is straightforward. Bread is toasted until it is warm and lightly crisp, and the avocado is added on top, either sliced or gently mashed. The contrast between textures is subtle but noticeable. The firmness of the toast supports the softness of the avocado, creating a balance that feels both steady and satisfying. Additional elements may be included, but they are usually minimal, allowing the main ingredients to remain clear. In these moments, the dish is not rushed. It is often eaten slowly, in spaces where the pace of the day has softened. The avocado becomes part of that rhythm, contributing to a sense of ease without needing to be the focus. Salads offer another way in which the avocado is used, bringing a different kind of balance to the plate. Here, the fruit is usually sliced or cut into pieces and combined with ingredients that are more crisp or structured. Leaves, vegetables, or grains provide a contrast, while the avocado adds a smooth and gentle element. Each bite carries this contrast. The crispness of one ingredient meets the softness of another, creating a mixture that feels complete without being heavy. The avocado does not dominate the salad, but it softens it, allowing the different elements to come together more easily. Its flavor works in a similar way. Mild and steady, it connects the ingredients without drawing attention to itself. It becomes part of the overall experience, rather than something separate within it. In blended preparations, such as smoothies, the avocado takes on a slightly different role. Here, it is no longer visible in its original form. Instead, it is combined with liquids and other ingredients, becoming part of a smooth and even mixture. The transformation is quiet, with the fruit dissolving into the whole. What contributes is texture. The avocado adds a natural creaminess that gives the mixture a soft and rounded feel. It allows the smoothie to settle evenly, without sharpness or separation. The flavor remains gentle, often supporting other ingredients rather than standing out. This ability to shift between forms reflects the flexibility of the avocado. It can remain whole and distinct, as in slices or pieces, or it can blend completely into a new texture, all while maintaining its essential qualities. Across these dishes, there is a shared approach that remains consistent. The avocado is used in ways that respect its natural form. It is not heavily altered or complicated, but gently prepared and combined with a small number of elements. This allows its softness, its mild flavor, and its quiet richness to remain present. The settings in which these dishes are enjoyed often reflect the same qualities. A bowl of guacamole shared among a few people, a plate of avocado on toast in a calm morning space, a salad prepared at home, or a smoothie made as part of a daily routine. Each of these moments carries a sense of steadiness, shaped by the simplicity of the food. The avocado moves through these settings without disruption. It does not demand attention or require explanation. It becomes part of the rhythm of the meal, contributing quietly to what is already there. Over time, these uses have become familiar, not because they are complex, but because they are easy to return to. The steps are simple, the ingredients are few, and the results are consistent. This creates a sense of continuity where the avocado can be prepared in similar ways again and again, each time fitting naturally into the moment. Even as these dishes vary slightly, the underlying pattern remains the same. The avocado is mashed, sliced, or blended. It is combined with a few elements, arranged simply, and served without excess. The process does not change, even as the details shift. In this way, the avocado continues to express its core qualities through food. Softness, balance, and a quiet kind of richness remain present, whether it is part of a traditional preparation or a more modern meal. And as these dishes are prepared and shared, the avocado settles into its place once again, not as something that stands apart, but as something that fits gently into the experience, offering its steady presence in a way that feels natural, familiar, and complete. The avocado offers a form of nourishment that is quiet and steady, built from a combination of natural components that exist together within the fruit. These elements are not separate or isolated in the way they are sometimes described. Instead, they are part of a whole structure, shaped gradually as the fruit grows. One of the most noticeable aspects of the avocado is its fat content. These are naturally occurring fats, primarily monounsaturated, which contribute to the smooth and buttery texture that defines the fruit. They are not added or altered, but formed as part of the avocado itself. When eaten, these fats create a sense of richness that feels even rather than heavy, settling gently without sharp intensity. Alongside these fats, the avocado contains dietary fiber. The fiber is woven into the flesh, contributing to the structure of the fruit and supporting the way it is experienced. It adds a sense of fullness that develops gradually rather than all at once. This combination of fats and fiber is part of what gives the avocado its steady and satisfying quality. There are also a range of vitamins present within the fruit, including vitamin E and vitamin K. Vitamin E is often associated with helping to protect cells from everyday oxidative processes, while vitamin K is linked to functions related to blood and bone health. These vitamins are not present in isolation, but as part of the broader composition of the avocado, contributing quietly to its overall nutritional profile. In addition to these, smaller amounts of other nutrients, such as vitamin C, certain B vitamins, and potassium, are also present. Each of these plays its own role, and together they form a balanced combination that supports the body in subtle ways. The avocado does not rely on a single standout component. Instead, it offers a collection of elements that work together within the whole food. Within this structure, avocados contain natural plant compounds, often referred to as polyphenol. Polyphenol are found in many plant-based foods, where they contribute to the plant's interaction with its environment. In the avocado, these compounds are present in modest amounts, forming part of the fruit's overall composition rather than defining it. They are often associated with supporting the body's response to oxidative processes, though this area is still being gently studied. Research continues to explore how polyphenol function within the body, often focusing on patterns and relationships rather than fixed conclusions. The language surrounding them tends to remain careful, reflecting an understanding that nutrition is complex and not easily reduced to a single element. In the case of the avocado, polyphenol exists alongside fats, fiber, and vitamins, contributing to the whole rather than standing apart. This reinforces the idea that the fruit is best understood as a complete food. Its value does not come from one component alone, but from the way its elements are combined and balanced. The idea of balance is central to how the avocado is experienced. It does not create extremes, either in flavor or in effect. Instead, it provides a steady form of nourishment that fits easily into a wide range of meals. The fats contribute richness, the fiber adds structure, and the vitamins and plant compounds support the body in ways that are gradual rather than immediate. This balance is one of the reasons the avocado is often included in meals that focus on whole foods. It can be combined with other ingredients that offer different qualities, creating a pattern of eating that is varied and consistent. The avocado does not need to stand alone as a source of nutrition. It becomes part of a broader combination, where each food contributes something different. The experience of eating the avocado reflects this. It is not intense or overwhelming. It does not require attention to specific details or components. Instead, it offers a sense of completeness that can be felt without needing to be analyzed. Over time, this kind of food becomes familiar in a deeper way. It is not chosen for a single reason, but returned to because it feels steady and reliable. The nutritional qualities remain present, but they do not need to be brought into focus with each use. They exist in the background, supporting the experience without interrupting it. The study of foods like the avocado continues, with ongoing interest in how its different components interact. Researchers look at how the fats behave within the body, how the fiber supports digestion, and how compounds such as polyphenol may contribute to long-term well-being. These studies often describe tendencies and associations rather than clear or immediate outcomes. This measured approach reflects the nature of the food itself. The avocado does not act in sudden or dramatic ways, and neither does the understanding of it. Both unfold gradually, shaped by time and by continued observation. In everyday life, however, the avocado is rarely considered in this level of detail. It is prepared, served, and eaten as part of a meal, with its qualities experienced rather than analyzed. The nutrients it contains are still present, but they do not need to be separated from the whole. This is part of what makes whole foods feel complete. They do not require explanation in order to be useful. They exist in a form that can be understood through experience, where the combination of elements works together without needing to be divided. The avocado reflects this clearly. Its fats, fiber, vitamins, and polyphenol are all part of the same structure, developed naturally and remaining connected. Nothing has been removed or added to create this balance. It is simply the result of how the fruit grows. And so, when the avocado is included in a meal, it brings with it this quiet sense of completeness, not as something to focus on, but as something that supports gently and consistently within the wider pattern of eating. The avocado is often recognized for its natural fat content, though the way this is understood has become quieter and more balanced over time. Rather than being viewed in isolation, the fats within the avocado are now more often considered as part of the whole food, integrated with everything else the fruit provides. These fats develop naturally as the avocado grows. They are not added or altered, but formed within the structure of the fruit itself. This gives the avocado its smooth, rich texture, which feels steady rather than heavy. The richness is present, but it does not overwhelm. It settles gently, becoming part of the overall experience of eating. When included in a meal, the avocado's fats contribute to a sense of balance. They do not need to stand out or be measured closely. Instead, they work alongside other elements, supporting the way the meal feels as a whole. A small amount can bring a sense of completeness without requiring anything more. This reflects a broader shift in how fats are considered. Rather than being grouped together or avoided entirely, they are more often understood within context. Different foods offer different types of fats, and these can be included as part of a varied and steady pattern of eating. The avocado fits easily into this perspective. It offers its fats in a natural form, combined with fiber, vitamins, and other plant compounds. Nothing is separated or refined. everything remains together, creating a food that feels complete without needing adjustment. In everyday use, this does not require careful attention. The avocado is simply prepared and eaten, its qualities experienced rather than analyzed. The fats contribute to the texture and the sense of satisfaction, but they do so quietly, without needing to be the focus. There's also a sense of steadiness in the way these fats are felt. They do not create sharp changes or sudden intensity. Instead, they provide a gradual sense of fullness, one that aligns with the calm and even nature of the fruit itself. This makes the avocado easy to include in meals that are simple and balanced. It is also understood that no single food defines a way of eating. The avocado is one part of a wider pattern where different foods contribute different qualities. Its fats are a part of that pattern, not separate from it. They exist alongside other elements, both within the fruit and within the meal. This allows for a more relaxed approach. There's no need to focus too closely on one aspect. The avocado can be included as it is, without needing to be adjusted or reconsidered. Its role is already established through its natural composition. Over time, this kind of inclusion becomes familiar. The avocado appears again and again in meals, offering the same steady qualities each time. Its fats remain part of that experience, contributing quietly to the overall sense of nourishment. In this way, the reflection on fats becomes less about definition and more about context. Within the avocado, they are not separate or emphasized. They are simply part of the whole, present in a way that feels balanced, consistent, and easy to return to. The avocado was once limited to the regions where it could grow naturally, shaped by a specific climate and a steady environment. For a long time, its presence remained local, known and used within those areas without extending far beyond them. Over time, this began to change, not through sudden expansion, but through a gradual movement into new places. As trade and transportation developed, the avocado began to travel. It reached nearby regions first, and then moved further outward, carried along routes that connected different parts of the world. The process was steady rather than rapid, shaped by the practical needs of cultivation and the care required to handle the fruit properly. With this movement, the avocado entered new kitchens. In each place, it was received in a slightly different way, depending on local ingredients and traditions. It did not replace existing foods, but joined them, becoming one part of a wider pattern of eating. Its mild flavor and soft texture allowed it to adapt easily, fitting into meals without disrupting what was already familiar. In some regions, it remained close to its earlier uses, prepared simply and combined with staple foods. In others, it became part of more contemporary dishes, reflecting changing tastes and preferences. The avocado did not need to be reshaped dramatically to suit these settings. Its natural qualities were enough to allow it to move between them. As more areas began to cultivate the fruit, its availability increased. Different countries contributed to its growth at different times of the year, creating a steady flow that allowed the avocado to appear regularly in markets across the world. This continuity supported its growing presence, making it a familiar option rather than an occasional one. Despite this wider reach, the avocado has remained consistent in its nature. Wherever it appears, it offers the same softness, the same mildness, and the same quiet richness. These qualities create a sense of familiarity, even when the surrounding dishes or ingredients are different. This is part of what has allowed it to become widely appreciated. It does not demand adjustment or explanation. It can be used in simple ways alongside a variety of foods and still feel complete. This ease has helped it settle into many different cuisines without losing its identity. Over time, the avocado has become a regular part of everyday meals in many parts of the world. It may be found in home kitchens, in markets, or in shared meals, appearing in ways that reflect both tradition and change. Its journey from a local fruit to a global presence has been gradual, shaped by time and by the steady movement of people and food. What is notable is how little it has needed to change along the way. The avocado remains what it has always been, even as it has reached new places. Its role has expanded, but its nature has stayed the same. In this way, the story of the avocado reflects a quiet kind of growth. A once local fruit has become widely known, not through force or transformation, but through a slow and natural spread. It has been carried from one place to another, gently finding its place in different kitchens, while continuing to offer the same steady and familiar qualities. As the avocado has become more widely enjoyed, its presence has grown steadily in markets and meals around the world. What was once a more regional fruit is now a familiar part of everyday eating in many places. This growing popularity has shaped the way the avocado is cultivated, with more land and resources devoted to its production. The increase in demand has led to the expansion of avocado farming. New orchards have been established in regions where the climate allows the trees to grow well, while existing farms have gradually increased their output. This growth has not been sudden, but it has been consistent, reflecting the steady rise in interest over time. With this expansion, there is a greater awareness of the conditions required to support the trees. Water is one of the most important of these. Avocado trees need a reliable supply of moisture, particularly in areas where rainfall is limited. In some regions, this has led to the development of irrigation systems designed to provide water in a controlled and efficient way. The use of water is not the same everywhere. Some growing areas receive enough natural rainfall to support the trees, while others rely more heavily on managed sources. This variation has brought attention to how water is used and how it can be balanced with the needs of the surrounding environment. Land use is another aspect that has become part of the conversation. As more orchards are planted, the landscape in certain regions begins to shift. Land that may have been used differently in the past is adapted for avocado cultivation. These changes are shaped by local conditions and decisions, and they often involve a balance between opportunity and long-term care. For many growers, there is an ongoing effort to work within these conditions thoughtfully. This can include managing water more carefully, maintaining soil health, and considering how the land can continue to support both the trees and the environment over time. These approaches are not uniform, but they reflect a gradual awareness that cultivation and sustainability are closely connected. The avocado, in this context, becomes part of a larger system. It is no longer only a fruit on a tree or an ingredient in a meal, but also part of the processes that bring food from one place to another. Its journey includes the work of growing, harvesting, transporting, and preparing, all of which contribute to its presence in everyday life. This is a reminder that even simple foods have wider stories. The avocado may appear unchanged in its form, still soft and mild, still prepared in familiar ways, but the path it takes to arrive has become more complex. These layers exist quietly in the background, often unnoticed, yet they remain part of the whole. At the same time, the nature of the avocado itself has not shifted. It continues to grow slowly, to be harvested with care, and to ripen in its own time. The changes that have occurred are largely around it, shaped by how it is produced and shared, rather than by the fruit itself. This creates a gentle balance between simplicity and complexity. On one level, the avocado remains easy to prepare and easy to include in a meal. On another, it is connected to wider patterns of agriculture and environment that continue to evolve. The tone of this understanding remains calm. There is no single answer or fixed conclusion, only an ongoing process of adjustment and awareness. As demand continues, so too does the effort to meet it in ways that consider both the needs of people and the conditions of the land. And through it all, the avocado remains steady. It continues to move from tree to table, shaped by time and care, carrying with it both its simplicity and the quiet depth of the story behind it. There are a few quiet details about the avocado that often go unnoticed, yet they add a gentle layer of interest to a fruit that already feels familiar. One of the most distinctive characteristics of the avocado is the way it ripens. Unlike many fruits, it does not soften while it is still on the tree. It can reach full maturity and remain firm, held in a kind of pause. Only after it is picked does the ripening begin. Over the course of a few days, the flesh gradually softens, becoming smooth and yielding. This slow change is subtle, felt more through touch than seen, and it gives the avocado a kind of flexibility that is unusual among fruits. Another quiet curiosity is the way the avocado moves between different types of dishes. It is most often used in savory meals, where its mild flavor and soft texture complement other ingredients. Yet it can also be used in sweet preparations, blended or combined in ways that highlight its natural creaminess. It does not fully belong to one category or the other, but adapts gently, depending on how it is used. There is also something unexpected in how the avocado is classified. From a botanical perspective, it is considered a fruit, and more specifically, a type of berry. This definition is based on its structure, with a single seed surrounded by soft flesh. It may not match the usual image of a berry, but within the language of plant science, it fits quietly into that category. These small details do not change the way the avocado is used, but they add depth to its story. It ripens only after it is picked. It moves easily between savory and sweet, and it belongs to a category that may not be immediately expected. Each of these facts sits lightly in the background, offering a little more to notice without asking for attention. And in that way, the avocado remains what it has always been: simple on the surface, with a few quiet curiosities resting just beneath. Over time, the avocado has come to carry a quiet set of meanings that extend beyond its role as a simple food. These associations have developed gradually, shaped by the way the fruit is used and experienced in everyday life. One of the strongest connections is with the idea of nourishment. The avocado is often included in meals that feel steady and complete, not because it is dramatic, but because it offers a sense of balance. Its softness and gentle richness contribute to a feeling of being satisfied without excess. This has led to a quiet understanding of the avocado as a food that supports rather than overwhelms. There's also a subtle link to abundance. This is not the kind of abundance that appears all at once, but something more measured. A single avocado can be used in different ways, shared across a meal, or added in small portions that still feel sufficient. It reflects a sense of having enough, rather than having more than needed. Simplicity is another quality that has become closely tied to the avocado. It does not require complex preparation or elaborate presentation. It can be sliced, mashed, or served as it is and still feel complete. This ease allows it to fit naturally into daily routines, where food is prepared without strain or complication. In modern food culture, these qualities have given the avocado a place within a broader idea of comfort. This comfort is not based on heaviness or indulgence, but on familiarity and calm. The avocado appears in meals that are unhurried, often made with a small number of ingredients, where the focus is on ease rather than effort. It is frequently part of meals that are eaten slowly in settings that feel relaxed, whether it is shared at a table or prepared for a quiet moment alone. The avocado contributes to an atmosphere that feels settled. It does not draw attention to itself, but it supports the overall experience. This has allowed the avocado to become a quiet symbol within contemporary eating. It represents a way of approaching food that values balance, steadiness, and simplicity. These ideas are not stated directly, but they are reflected in the way the fruit is used and the settings in which it appears. The symbolism is gentle rather than fixed. It does not rely on tradition alone, but continues to develop through everyday use. Each time the avocado is prepared and shared, it reinforces these associations in small and consistent ways. And so, the avocado remains more than just a fruit. It becomes part of a broader understanding of food as something that can be simple, nourishing, and quietly abundant, fitting easily into the rhythm of daily life without needing to be more than it is. As the evening settles, the presence of the avocado returns quietly to the background, where it has always belonged. The kitchen is still now. The small movements of preparation have passed, leaving the space calm and undisturbed. The cutting board has been cleared, the knife set aside, and the simple meal has already come and gone. Nothing more is required. What remains is a gentle sense of completion. The avocado, once whole, has been prepared and shared in its usual, unhurried way. Its softness, its mildness, and its steady presence have already been experienced. There is no need to revisit the steps or hold onto the details. They have already settled into place. Outside, the light has softened. The day has moved quietly toward its close, and the rhythm that carried everything forward begins to slow. The same steady pace that shaped the growth of the tree and the ripening of the fruit can be felt here as well, in the quiet of the evening. There is nothing left to prepare, nothing left to arrange. Only the calm remains. The story of the avocado, with all of its small details and gradual movements, no longer needs to continue. It has unfolded fully, without urgency, and now it can simply rest where it is, The kitchen holds that stillness. The space feels settled, unchanged, yet gently complete. The actions that took place there have left no trace of effort, only a quiet sense that everything has moved as it should. The avocado returns to what it has always been. Something simple, something steady, something that exists without needing to be more. And as the evening deepens, there is space to let all of it soften. The details can drift, the thoughts can settle, the rhythm can slow, and now you can rest. The story gently fades until we meet again.